Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom. On today's show, Duane Toews visits with Rick Pfortmiller with Neogen Geneseek to talk about geonomicks. Then enjoy this week's Kansas Soybean update. Next, Duane visits with Jara Settles from the Livestock Marketing Association about current transportation issues. Then it's this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update, and we'll end with Plain Talk featuring Kyle and Duane. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome to Farm Factor. Up first today, Duane Toews and Rick Pfortmiller talk about geonomicks.
Duane Toews joining you once again here on Ag AM in Kansas, and an opportunity to catch up with Rick Pfortmiller with Neogen. Rick, talking about the identity world, tell us a little background on the company and what you're accomplishing for cattle producers.
So we would be in the beef genomics is what I focus on here. So we're doing DNA testing for cattle. Really, we have two audiences that we work with. We would work with the seed stock producers, Angus breeders, Hereford breeders, Simmental breeders, other breeds as well, and then also commercial ranchers to employ genomics into their cattle selection programs.
We think about genomics. Obviously, initially it was all done by appraisal and physical characteristics when we did selections. Then we worked in EPDs and looked at some of the progeny differences out of those cattle. Now we've taken that next step with genomics, and really we can look into the future and not have to wait to determine what those animals are capable of, if I'm right.
That's exactly right. And this tool is not made to replace any of those things that you mentioned earlier. It is the best analogy I use is it's like the leg under a milking stool. This is another leg. It's another piece of information that helps stabilize your selection criteria.
You'd referenced a couple of different facets of the industry on the purebred or registered seed stock side. For those guys, it's important in making those selections to know what they can provide their customers.
Yep, exactly. It's a risk management tool. If you're interested in calving ease, for example, this tool, we can look at the genetic markers for birth weight and calving ease and suggest that this animal is indeed going to do what you expect as a buyer, and then also as the breeder to represent that animal, that it will do what you represent it to do as well.
The amazing thing is the kind of progress that we've made in the last 10 years is crazy, really, when we think about the genetic markers and what we can understand about a pretty complex system.
Yep, it is. And the analogy that I use in traveling Kansas and Nebraska, we have a lot of farmers and ranchers that also on the agronomy side have used precision ag. This is exactly what's happening on the cattle side. And cattle side isn't unique. It's happening on the swine side, other competing proteins. So really, if we think long-term, how are we in the beef industry going to compete? These are tools that are just going to do that.
The alternative as well would be the commercial industry. When we think about cow-calf producers, there's things they can gain from your product as well.
Yep, exactly. We have products that help guys select replacement heifers, identify dystocia issues, calving ease problems in the spring. Get a lot of calls from veterinarians where ranchers have dumped out 3 bulls in with a set of 60, 70 cows, and we've got some calving challenges. We can go back and identify which bull was indeed responsible for that, but also those replacement heifers. Which bulls are siring the more desirable heifers that we can put back into the herd.
I want to touch on that just a little bit because we oftentimes aren't as proactive as we should be in agriculture. When we think about animal welfare, some of those things that you're talking about really go back to the heart of animal husbandry, and we don't pat ourselves on the back and tell our story well enough.
Oh, absolutely. And all the technology that we have had with EPDs, as you mentioned, this is just another piece that, we start talking about sustainability and feed efficiency and and consumer acceptance and carcass quality. All those things are folded into the genomics.
Our thanks to Rick Pfortmiller with Neogen joining us on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Duane. Folks, come back after these messages for this week's Kansas Soybean Update.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com.
Join us for the 4th Annual Meeting Demand Sale at Gardner Angus Ranch, Monday, May 13th at 10 a.m. Up for sale are 173 20-month-olds and 250 bred commercial cows and heifers, including the complete dispersal of longtime Gardner customer YOLO Ranch. Catalog available at GardnerAngus.com. Register for online bidding at liveauction.tv. At Gardner Angus Ranch, you aren't just buying a breed, you are buying a brand backed by 4 generations of disciplined seed stock production. See you May 13th at the ranch.
This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Soybean Update.
This is the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Mike Steenhoek, Executive Director of the Soy Transportation Coalition, joins us. And Mike, why is it important that the transportation infrastructure projects be looked at and what it can do as far as transportation of agricultural products?
Our multimodal transportation system connects supply with demand. And so for farmers to be an international entrepreneur, to be able to have products that are grown on their farm and consumed halfway around the world, you've got to have this system of rural roads and bridges, highways and interstates, inland waterways, freight rail, and ports to all work in concert to allow those deliveries to occur. So it really is essential to our profitability. If we don't get infrastructure right, farmers won't be profitable.
One issue right now is what we have seen flooding-wise, and that's caused some pretty significant issues in some areas.
You know, I don't know of one mode of transportation that has a happy coexistence with flooding conditions, whether it's gravel roads, whether it is rural bridges, whether it is the inland waterway system with barge transportation, railroad track ballast, our ports. I mean, all of these modes are being adversely affected by these flooding conditions, and it really is just adding one more obstacle for farmers to get their product to their ultimate customer. And so it's just adding some additional hardship to an industry that already has some headwinds confronting it.
One thing that it helps too is environmentally, because of what it can do and how it can improve that and improve the environment.
Some of these modes of transportation, like barge transportation, you're able to move a heavy volume of product long distances at not only an economical price point, but also at a low carbon emissions. And some of these modes of transportation are really efficient. And so when you've got that system compromised, it obviously results in a more costly system, but a system that has more detrimental impact on the overall environment.
Are you looking at specific goals with regards to future projects?
We continue to explore all of the various modes of transportation. One that we're looking at today is the prospect of moving containerized shipments, containerized exports of soybeans on the inland waterway system. So some of these rivers that feed down to ultimately the New Orleans area. Certainly the state of Kansas could benefit from that with the Arkansas River linking up, and also the Missouri River as well. So there's a number of opportunities to really promote this, and so we look forward to really remaining engaged in this really important issue.
That is Mike Steenhoek, Executive Director of the Soy Transportation Coalition, who joins us on the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Learn more at kansassoybeans.org. For Kansas Soybeans, I'm Greg Akagi.
Hope you enjoyed this week's Kansas Soybean Update. Stay with us after the break for more as Duane visits with Jara Settles.
Kansas Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about employee safety and work comp coverage. On your farm, do you ask your friends to come help? Are they considered employees or neighbors helping neighbors? Did you know that you can be held responsible just as if it's a work comp accident? Give me a call, we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
We're back. Now we learn about efforts to improve transportation issues within the cattle industry with Duane Toews and Jara Settles.
Duane Toews joining you once again here on Ag AM in Kansas, and an opportunity to catch up with Jara Settles with the Livestock Marketing Association. Jara, we think about transportation issues within the livestock industry. We've kind of been battling it for a couple of years now. We've gotten a little bit of clarity concerning some of the rules and regulations, but the realities are the livestock business, it just isn't the same as dry goods.
Absolutely. Livestock have to get where they need to go in a fast, safe, and efficient way from an animal welfare perspective, as well as to keep costs down for the American consumers.
So we think about LMA and their involvement within the industry, obviously representing auction markets primarily, but really a part of the whole cattle industry and what you represent and look out for.
Yeah, absolutely. All the livestock that are sold at a market had to get there some way. So even if they were brought in on goosenecks from a local producer, they have to go somewhere. And for our members that are on the West Coast or the Northwest or the Southeast, a lot of times those cattle, especially feeder cattle, have to go a really long ways to get to the central plains here, kind of in the feeding belt. Current law only allows them to drive for 11 hours, and that's just not enough.
We think about the realities. We want to do it in a safe manner. I don't think anybody within agriculture has argued that point. But there is an economic threshold and an animal health threshold when we think about the cattle, particularly that come into Kansas in the central part of the country for the Flint Hills and a feedlot industry that we have. We do see some long-haul cattle that we just can't afford to stop, drop, and unload and load them again.
Absolutely. The haul in and of itself is stressful on those livestock. They're at a time in their life, especially feeder cattle, that is also stressful on them from a health perspective. Adding to that a stop and an unload, that's just too dangerous, not only for those livestock, but for also the person who's hauling them. Unloading somewhere that they're not familiar with, at a pen system that may or may not even exist halfway along their route, just really isn't an option.
So as we look at working with the Department of Transportation, we have gotten some leeway in the big picture of things, but the electronic system really hasn't been received the greatest from the ag industry.
Yeah, for a few reasons. Not only does it track really technical compliance issues that a human looking at a paper logbook could say, oh, really not that big of a deal. Beyond that, though, these are independent people that don't like Big Brother in the cab of their truck. They really want to be able to operate under their own professional judgment. They're professionals in this industry, and the idea that they're kind of having this invasive technology makes them a little bit uncomfortable.
Other issues, Jara, that LMA is looking at in regards to the ag industry?
Yeah, absolutely. On the transportation topic, I think the ELDs at some point will be a reality for our haulers. We've been able to, through the help of some of our congressional partners, kind of put a little bit of a pause on the implementation. Hopefully we'll get another delay through fiscal year 2019. In the end, though, it's an hours of service problem. We just need more time. So NCBA, LMA, Farm Bureau, and the fish and bee hauling industries have submitted a petition to Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration asking for 4 additional drive time hours. In exchange for that, there would be more safety training. It would only be available to our safest drivers, and there would be more documentation required. It's all about safety.
Our thanks to Jara Settles with LMA, Livestock Marketing Association, joining us here on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Duane. Come back after the break for this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
I had this horse. It was a good horse, except when the wind was blowing above 30 miles an hour. Wind was blowing about 35, 40, and I saddled him up, rode him out to the end of the lane, and I thought, well, he's doing pretty good. And about 6 jumps later, I was laying on the ground and thinking, boy, my shoulders sure hurt. I kept waiting, and it didn't get better, and so I went to an orthopedic surgeon, and that showed that I had torn rotator cuff. He said, well, I have to do surgery. I farm and ranch by myself. It's not going to work out very well. I'd been sleeping in my recliner for about 2.5 years because it hurt too much to sleep in bed on my side. I'd heard about Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center on the radio. Gotten down there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 11:30 the procedure was all over. They just took some fat out of my side here and spun that down for about 45 minutes and then injected it in my shoulders, and I was on my way. It's something you don't hear about, but I thought it was worth a try, and I'm really pleased. It's really worked out well for me.
As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Farm Bureau update.
Hi, County Farm Bureaus. We're here to give you a quick update on where we are on the health plan effort. First, thank you very much for engaging and weighing in and helping us get the bill or bills, depending on if you were watching. We had 3 different bill numbers. But to get that product through both chambers of the legislature and across the governor's desk. As many of you know, she let the bill become law without her signature on April 19th, and we're excited about that. Since that effective date or effective action by her puts us into law, we've begun moving forward on the effort to build the plans and to build the offering that we'll make to you, our members across Kansas. The timeline for that is to do an official marketing launch early in September this fall and to begin an open enrollment period or an enrollment period in October that would run through the end of the year. As many of you know, if you get an Affordable Care Act exchange plan, the open enrollment period for those products is in that same October to December timeframe. So we'll mirror that in our first offering of the plans this year. The products that we'll be launching this fall include a Medicare supplement plan for those who are 65 and older who need those products. There will be 4 different options available there, and if you're familiar with those letters, they'll be corresponding to what's currently available on the marketplace in those categories. We'll offer a dental vision bundle, which is a product that lots of folks find attractive if their current health insurance doesn't offer that product or if they just need something to add on to existing coverage. We'll do a short-term plan which allows folks to bridge coverage if they're between jobs or if they're just trying to get from one period of time to another in their healthcare needs. We'll have those products available as well. And then the largest one, which is the biggest undertaking and the reason for the legislation that we ask you all to weigh in on, is this traditional membership health plan that we'll offer. And if you want to follow along our progress as we're building this out over the next several months, you can go to kfb.org/KS Health Plans.
Stay with us. We'll be back after the break with Plain Talk.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at KFRM.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but yet we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we'll be glad to answer it and work with you.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Welcome back. Now let's see what Kyle and Duane are up to today on Plain Talk.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer with Plain Talk with Duane and Toews.
Kyle Bauer, your fact or fiction question of the day. In Antarctica, there's a glacier called Blood Falls. Fact or fiction?
I've heard of Blood Falls, I think.
You think?
But I don't know where it is. So seeing how I've heard of Blood Falls and I don't know where it is, I'm going with true. It's in Antarctica.
It is in Antarctica. The glacier regularly pours out a red liquid, a result of oxidized salt water.
Really? I thought maybe it was bacteria.
No, oxidized salt water. Actually looks like the glacier is bleeding.
Have you ever seen the red snow in the mountains? In the summer you'll go up there and you'll see red snow?
No, I've seen brown snow on the plains.
Yeah. You've seen yellow snow.
I've seen yellow snow.
Right, but no, they say you don't go anywhere eating that. I mean, that's a bacteria.
Really?
That grows on that snow. So
bacteria growing
on snow.
That's a bit odd.
Maybe it's an algae.
Oh,
an algae? Yeah. Well, I don't know. They say don't.
A fungus among us of some
Yeah,
sort.
exactly. You need to use athlete's foot on your snow prior to eating it. Athlete's spray. Athlete's foot spray.
Tear down really good.
Did you know that the major fungicide that we use on wheat was discovered as a great fungicide on wheat? It was originally developed for athlete's foot.
No.
I swear. I was at their laboratory one day, and the guy that discovered it was still working there.
Really?
And he said, yeah, I developed this for athlete's foot. Turns out it works on
pretty good on
the fungus on your wheat. And they don't even call it athlete's wheat.
Athlete's wheat.
No, they don't even call it that.
You know, it's amazing. Those people that tinker with different combinations of chemistries to come up with stuff. Like one of the ones that was fairly prevalent was found in the ground on the tailing behind a distillery somewhere.
Yeah, I heard that story too. They realized that there was nothing growing there, and
let's dig up some of that and put it in a test tube and see what we got.
Well, the guy that discovered the microwave oven, he was trying to work on X-rays, and he had a chocolate bar in his pocket. And melted his chocolate bar. And so,
that'll leave us.
Yeah, and it's like, wait a minute. Maybe we could use this for something other than what we were really trying for.
Quick heating.
Quick heating, yeah, exactly. In July the 8th, 1776, the great peal of the Liberty Bell alerted citizens that the country they lived in was now independent, while the Founding Fathers read to them the Declaration of Independence that freed them from tyranny from British rule. But the story just doesn't really ring true.
Not working.
Doesn't really work. It is true that the bell was hanging in Philadelphia at the State House at the time, but no one rang it. I mean, think about this. They were all committing treason.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they? Well, it had a huge crack in it from a forging error even then.
Before
and at that time. So, and it was not a symbol of freedom or liberty. It was a freedom of a sign of bad workmanship. No, the name, the Liberty Bell, wasn't adopted until 1839.
That's a fair piece later.
In a pamphlet put out by the Philadelphia Tourism Committee.
Well, you got to draw in.
The Liberty Bell by Friends of Freedom, where it symbolized the liberty of black slaves, not the independence of white Americans from Britain. Now, how in the world did we get the story that wrong for that long?
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next week on Farm Factor.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.